welcome to the Confidence Igniter podcast. I am your host, Tamiko Green, and I am so excited to bring you another inspiring episode. Today, we're diving into a transformative conversation with a powerhouse guest whose story and mission will truly move you, challenge you to embrace confidence, and see yourself in a bold new way. Our guest today is Shantae Kinney, a woman on a mission to inspire a million hearts with 10,000 testimonies of God's transformative power. As the host of the television show Next Level Conversations, Shantae uses real life stories of women overcoming extraordinary challenges to inspire others to rise and thrive. She is also the author of Don't Be Bitter, a deeply personal and empowering book that shares her journey through an unexpected divorce and how she rediscovered her identity. With over 25 years of experience as a civil litigation paralegal, Shantae lives a life rooted in connection, inspiration, and transformation. Her passion lies in helping women find balance amidst chaos and showing them that their best life is still ahead. Today, Shantae will guide us through the confidence effect, turning heads and changing minds. Get ready for a bold, empowering conversation that will ignite your confidence and inspire you to see yourself and the world in a whole new light. Shantae, welcome to the Confidence Igniter podcast. Girl, I'm so excited to have you here today.
I am too. How are you, my darling?
I am doing wonderful. What about you?
Well, shoot, I'm nervous now. I was good, and then you start introducing. I'm like, who she talking about? But no, I am blessed. I am blessed. I am good. God is good. I am good. Life is good. What more can you say? So
I know,
happy to
right?
be here.
Well, I want to just go ahead and get into the confidence effect because, I just really feel like it is so important for us to, have confidence. The word says to hold on to your confidence because it is a rewarder, and a lot of times we go through things in our life and situations come and we lose our confidence. So I'm just like, I'm so happy to be able to have this conversation with you. So I'm just going to dive right in. And
Okay. Okay.
and one of my questions for you is, I would love you to tell me, like, how has embracing confidence through, I know you've been through a lot of a challenge, let's say with the divorce, that which caused you to write your book probably. And so I just want to know, how has embracing confidence allowed you to shift other people's perspective and create new opportunities?
My story actually it goes back before even the divorce. I was sexually abused as a child, and so I grew up my teenage years, probably the most important years of your life. I grew up with no self-esteem, no confidence, living in the shadow of my own self, not having a voice, not knowing my voice. And as I walked into my marriage, I did not have any personal confidence. I didn't have any spiritual confidence. I didn't have mental or emotional confidence. I mean, I lacked it all the way around. And so I became a chameleon. I became whatever anybody needed. And I allowed that to help shape me and grow my identity. And all it did was make me get even more lost in who I was. And the confidence, whatever level of confidence I started out with, or the confidence in them even began to lessen even more as the years went on, because I still wasn't finding any happiness or any satisfaction. Mainly because I wasn't looking at myself, I wasn't looking to God, I was looking to others to build something and ignite something that God had already put in me that I had not touched, I hadn't tapped into. And so, when just through a series of things, because God has a way, he has a way of, I say this all the time, he never wastes a problem. He will take a problem, and every problem is an opportunity. So through a series of problems, through a series of situations, God started me on this journey. And one of the first things that he did, he had to teach me how to be confident in him, not even in myself. He had to teach me to be confident in him. That was my first lesson, my first introduction, my first that was that first ignition for myself, teaching me how to have confidence in him, because he knew where he was going to take me. He knew what the journey was going to be. He knew what I was going to see, what I was going to be exposed to, I was going to be called on to do, how I was going to be called on to move. And he knew that I had to learn to have faith in him. And in doing that, he taught me how to have confidence and faith in myself, to build my confidence. And my confidence lies not on me or anything that I do. Even with 25 years of litigation experience, I still walked into the courtroom for a very long time with no confidence. I was good at my job. Even when I thought I was really bad, I was really good, because again, I know how to learn. I'm not a dumb woman, but that voice and all of that trauma was sitting in the back of my head, and I never saw myself. So God took me through the process. We worked it. We worked the process of showing me, one, that I could trust him, and then showing me myself through his eyes. And then he began to show me my strengths, and that began slowly to build my confidence, my self-confidence. But my confidence is anchored solely in God. The more I feel I can do anything because God can do anything. And I don't move outside of him. So that gives me confidence. I walk with that knowledge that, hey, God's got me. And so when I enter a room now, my whole attitude is different. When I enter a situation now, my whole mindset is different. And so how does that help ignite itself and build itself when it comes to other women? I teach and I talk with women about the same thing: building your trust and your confidence in God, and knowing that y'all are, because me and God we are not separate and apart. Me and him are one. When I say we tight, we are tight, right? But the more I connect, and that's the reason why I have to do it every single day, all day long, stay in constant communication with him, be guided by him. The more that I connect with him, the more confident I find myself. And so I teach women, and I talk with women about building that relationship with God, and stepping into his shadow and out of your shadow, stepping into his presence and out of your presence. And the more that they do it, the only thing that I can do is remind them of who they are in God, remind them of what they are capable of in God, and remind them. And because I have a thing where I reframe every problem. So somebody will come to me with the problem, and the first thing that, I don't know, God has really taught me how to do this thing. The first thing that I will do is I'll see the good in the problem instead of the problem. and the bad in it. And so then when I start talking good, people be, you know what? That's a really good way to look at it. And it starts changing the way that they start speaking and the way that they start moving. And then you'll start hearing them quote stuff back to you that you done quoted to them. I'm like, what? But that's part of igniting that and reminding them of that. And I believe the more we can remember who we are in God and that God has us, the more we can walk in a whole lot more confidence, though even through whatever's going on.
And I like something that you said, well, a lot of what you said, but
I can
when you
barely hear
said,
you. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you good. Can you hear me?
Okay, there you go. You
It's
talked up a little
better.
bit. You
Okay.
getting that crispy radio voice on me. So
Oh, okay. Okay, so one of the things that you said, building your confidence in Him. And a lot of times we build our confidence in something else, in other
mm,
people, in things, and then when we build our confidence in things, like as an example, if you go out and you buy this new car, right? So you like, oh, I'm walking on water. I got this brand new car. It's just good. And then 6 months down the road, where you get the car note, and you like, man, I don't have it all. And then now all of a sudden, everything goes haywire in your life because unexpected things. But you built your confidence right there. Yet you saying God is good, God is good. But on the flip side of the coin, if He's good in the good, He's good in
it's
the
good.
not
Yes,
so
he is.
good. You know what I'm saying? And so just when you said building your confidence in Him and allowing Him to build you, at that point all things are possible. Because I had somebody tell me one day, they said, wherever you standing, you're standing in power.
Yes.
Wherever you standing, I don't care where you standing, because of whose you are, you're standing in power. And
Wherever your
yes,
feet plant,
yeah,
you are standing on holy ground
yeah,
in power, in the anointing of you. And that's the
yes,
reason why, just picking off of your example, that's the reason why the Proverbs 3 and 5 tell us, in all of your lean not upon your own understanding, but in
yes,
all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. And I'm going
yes.
to tell you, I lived a life where externally it looked as if I was leaning on God, but internally I knew, when I was really honest with myself, I was not. I'll say a quick prayer, and God, I thank you for allowing me to, let's just say, go buy this house or go buy this car. But God, I didn't tell you to go do that.
Yeah.
Oh, look what God blessed me with. I You didn't consult me about that. You had no conversation with me about that, Shantae, and you didn't. Because and I told a friend this once, when you have to scheme, when you have to lie, when you have to, put a little extra on that's not God. That's not you moving in faith and confidence in God. That's not God working that out for you. When you're sitting here holding your breath about whether it's going to happen or not, that's not God working that. That's not God leading you into that. This is my opinion. That's not God leading you into that, because when He is doing it, the way is so easily made. You just like, whoa, is this really for me? Because He's handing you, I'm His, and He hands me these gifts so that when things begin to start looking crazy, and I'm like, uh, hey, there's somebody after me for this. And I literally get to say to him, God, I didn't go do this. I didn't want this. I did not just arbitrarily go and get into this. This is something you directed me into. And I can stand in confidence and say that because I stood on it. I fasted about it. I prayed about it. And I was, hey, don't let me close every door. Because sometimes I know myself enough to know I'll lie to myself, and I'll create a false narrative and then blame you for it. But close every door. And so when things happen, I'm like, okay, this one is yours. So I'm going to stand in faith. I'm going to stand in confidence that you're going to work this out. And every single time, it works itself out. And that's how he began to build my confidence in him. When you do what I tell you to do, when I say, no, we're not doing that right now, and you stand in confidence that I know what I'm doing, it's building my confidence and my trust in him. And that way, when things happen, I'm like, God got that because he was the one who created this situation. And so he's going to do and take care of everything in it. I ain't got nothing to worry about.
And just going back to when you said building your confidence in him, right? So, even when we don't, go to him first, right? And we go on our own. But when you have your confidence in him, you already know he'll turn it around for you. He'll
Don't
definitely turn it
whisper.
around, and that's why you have to just stay in confidence, knowing
Mhm.
that okay, even though it turned out because I was doing me. You know how we like to sometimes we do us, and but the good side is because if you just keep praising him and like, what, God, I know I did it. Because a lot of times we don't like to accept the full responsibility, but I did it. And you say, but you know what,
Take that
God,
little.
look, I should have turned it over to you beforehand, but I'm gonna turn it over to you now. Can you handle it? No, I know you can handle it.
He
You
go he go
know.
he go tap you for a minute though. If y'all like if you anything like me, he gonna make me sit in there for a minute, and then when I'm like, okay, I've learned, and I promise
Yes,
you, I may mess up
yes.
somewhere else, but I won't do this one again.
Yes, and that is so true. And I think, just having that confidence and then, when God builds your confidence, you know that there is nothing that you cannot get through.
Mm,
And it's not in a case where you won't go through any challenges because, like I tell, people that I talk to, challenges, if you look at them as turbulence, right? This is my favorite line, right? You look at them as turbulence. So when you're on an airplane, and that airplane hit some turbulence, all the pilots do is say, hey, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to hit some turbulence. Please return to your seat,
mm,
fasten your seatbelt, because we're about to go higher. You rarely ever hear a pilot says, well, fasten your seat because we got to go down. No, because turbulence helps to build you. It helps to take you higher. And so when you're confident and you're confident in God, you're confident in yourself, that you know that whose you are and that you can get through it, you will continue to go. And like you said, you acknowledges that, you know what, okay, I did it. And I know God ain't gonna be like, oh, you did that. Oh, honey, let me just rescue you right quick. No, He lets you stew or simmer in it a little bit so you'll understand. Don't do that again. Don't do
mm.
that. I know it
He
felt
is
good.
so He's so gracious. He's so gracious.
Yes.
That's what I love about him. He's so gracious. And it's so funny you're talking about turbulence and just going through. I was on the treadmill. I want to say, yeah, it was yesterday. I was on the treadmill and I was running sprints. I was challenging myself and I was on a high incline and running sprints at a pretty high level, just challenging myself. And as I was going, my legs started to, they were like, hey, because I had already been going for a while and I had been building it up. My legs were like, wait, baby, this is not the place for us to be. But I kept going. And my mind was like, okay, hold on. And then I heard myself say, but keep going, but keep going. And so once my mind said it, my legs got completely in line. And so I did what I did not think that I could do. And the moment I finished, I heard the Lord say, the legs will hold. you got to have confidence in them because they've gone through some things and they have strength. And that's, you've been building, you've been strengthening, you've been working for moments like this. They are whole. It's you just got to know this. Your legs are they're gonna hold out. And I was like, you know what? Even as I got off the treadmill, I was like, you know what? Huh, I feel a whole lot better because I'm a lot stronger than I actually think that I am. And it's little things like that. It is. It's little things like that that God uses to teach us how to how to live and how to walk and how to walk in our strength and in our power and walk confidently in it. You understand what I'm
Right.
saying? Those are he uses for me, he uses such small things to teach me big lessons and
Yes.
build that confidence.
Yes, yes, that is so true. So I know a lot of times, you have people that say, she doesn't understand my situation, or you haven't been where I've been, or I'm sitting here, I don't have this, or I'm in a really bad situation. What do you say to whether it's women or men, that find themselves in situation and they just really have lost their confidence because maybe someone turned their back on them and they just don't have anyone. What do you say to them to help them to build their confidence and have that trust that they can continue on?
I told him to go selfish.
All right, go selfish. All
Go
right.
selfish. Go selfish. Um Somebody asked me not too long ago, what would I tell my 10-year-old self? And I said I would tell her to consider you. Consider you. Start as young as you can possibly start. Consider you, not in a selfish way, but consider you. And get to a point where you love you and you can trust you because people are going to come. People, it's in our nature. We can't help it. We are going to fail one another. We even trying to do everything that we can. I can give you everything, but there's still going to be something lacking, and I'm going to do something. It has to come from you. So when you start looking, when you're spending the time looking externally for it, I tell people all the time, go selfish. You need to start seeing, you need to go inside. You need to go inside. You have to realize that you are the greatest gift that God has ever given you. And we don't think it that way. I know I didn't. I thought I knew that I was a gift, but I thought that I was a gift for everybody else. Never did I think that I was a gift for me. And if I can't be a gift for me first, how can I be a gift for anybody else? And so when I started realizing that I am the most important person in my life and I need to love me, I need to take care of me, I need to build me, then I can be everything for everybody else and I can stand when everybody else does what they do and be who they are. And they're not around and they're not available. I came into this world by myself. I'm gonna walk right on. I mean, they're gonna carry me up out of him, but I'm going out on the same way. So go selfish. And that sounds so crazy, but go selfish. Start looking inside, doing the work. Start doing the work on you. God, what? Let me stop looking to people and let me go in here. Let me go in here because in here I'm going to find him. I'm going to reconnect with my soul. My soul is connected to God. My soul is never going to go against it's not going to go against what God has for me. It's not going to go against the will of God. So I need to reconnect with her. I've been starving her for years. I've been putting her voice and her wants and her needs and her desires on the background. I haven't tapped into my spirit, and I'm not fully connected with me. Go selfish. Because once you go selfish and you go in, you'll start seeing and experiencing life and people in a totally different way. And your confidence will begin to build because now you'll be able to connect with God and realize, you know what, no matter what, I got legs that'll hold. I got the ability to stand. They keep going. They make it heavy, but as long as I keep moving, they gonna hold. So that's what, that's
I
what I
like
would say.
I like that though, because you're right. A lot of times we don't go selfish. We are all about how can I help you, or you know, what can I do for someone else? We are good at cheering other people on. We are good at telling other people, you got this, you can do this, keep going, keep moving, And when they fall down, get back up, what you down there for, come on, you got it. But, you know, sometimes we got to be our own cheerleader.
That part,
Sometimes,
that
sometimes
part.
you gotta be the one that's sitting in the bleachers cheering, that's sitting on the side,
Running the
standing on the
race.
sideline cheering.
Yep.
You gotta be the one to sometimes carry yourself into the end zone. Because David
Mhm.
did say sometimes you got to encourage
Encourage
yourself, right?
yourself.
And
Yeah.
so is in the whole encouraging of yourself, and even with taking on this adventure of starting a podcast. I had to recognize that, what, this is what God gave you. He didn't give it to the world, He didn't give it to those in your world. So if you are going to continue to let God guide you, then you're going to have to say, you know what, this is about me. Because one of the things that I believe each of us will probably never want to see this happen is when that time do come for you to be carried out. And before you close your eyes, your dreams or goals come and sit at the edge of your bed and say to you, you know what? Even though people in the world said that you were so giving, even though you even pride yourself as being the giver. But I come to tell you on this last day before you take your last breath, you were so selfish because you never gave me an
There you go.
opportunity
Yes.
to step out into this world. Now,
Yes.
because you were so selfish to yourself, I gotta die with you. One of us could
Yeah.
at least stayed on the earth and kept
Yep.
going, but you had the confidence to cheer everybody else on. You had the confidence to tell them that they could make it, but you never had the confidence to tell yourself that I got this. Because where I'm standing in power, on power, with power. Okay, so I just feel like when you said being selfish, we have to be selfish in order to set those boundaries so that we can live that
Yeah.
life that we were meant to live.
Yeah.
Each of us, I believe, was came to this earth scene to do something, to be something, to have something, to leave something, to make an impact on someone else's life that will carry them through.
Yep.
And I
I
think
agree.
building your confidence and having confidence, to me, that is truly a turning heads and a changing minds. Because you know people that always say, "Girl, I remember her when she was what?" And that's what
But
they do.
but look at me now. And you know what? I love when people do that, and I'm okay with that. I don't even communicate with people like that. But when people do say it, it's always an opportunity to give God praise because you like, look at her now. Look at the power of God.
Yes,
Look at because if
yes,
he can do that, you remember her when she was doing that?
yes.
Look at her now. If he can do that for her, he can do it for me.
Listen,
That means I have an opportunity. There's
Yes.
hope for me. There is hope for
Yes.
me. So no, and that analogy that you just used is so right and so dead on that it literally puts things in a whole different perspective. I was talking to a guy yesterday and I was thinking about a message in a bottle, and God was like, I don't need a message in the bottle because I have a message in a body. I gave you a
Ooh,
word. I
I
gave
love
you a
that.
word, Shantae. And so your situations in life will press out the word that is in you for the person that I need my word delivered to. And it's your responsibility to speak the word that I have put in you. You are my message. You and your life is a representation of my message. Your life is an expression of my message. And I tell people all the time, I quote them exactly the words because I remember so many days, going through a divorce, building a business, just lifing, and so many hard days. And in particular, I remember when after me and my husband split up and I moved out of the place that we were living together. He had already left, and it was time. God was like, it's time for you to move. It's time for you to change locations. And so I moved into my new place, and this was the first time since I was 19 years old that I would be staying by myself. And I grew up in a house with, I grew up with a very big family. And when I graduated from high school, there was probably about a 2-3 month period where I had my own place by myself, and then I met my husband and things just kind of progressed from there, and we never parted after that. But well, we broke up one time. But so I hadn't really been on my own. I grew up in that relationship. So now all of a sudden I am by myself, and I'm in this whole new experience. I'm living in this new place, and things are just like wow. And I'm having all of these emotions, but God had really, really, really been dealing with me. And he had been saying a whole lot of stuff to me. And I was saying that stuff back to people. Everything he would echo to me, and it would touch me. I'm like, oh, I feel this in my bones because it was keeping me going. I was giving it back. And I remember months later, I was sitting on my balcony and I was just kind of feeling it. I was feeling the weight of having to carry it on my own and all of this. And God told me, God told me while I was sitting on that balcony, he said, hey, if your ministry can't save you, you can't expect if your ministry can't change you, you can't expect your ministry to change anybody else. So those same words that you give to everybody else, they need to start with you. And if you can't walk what it is that you are speaking, then don't even say it. And I was like, wait, but I believe everything that I say. Then walk it, get up. And I was like, okay. And I have remembered that, and I have walked in that. That's confidence. I have walked in that sense. And I always remind myself those same words of encouragement that I give to everybody else, I need to reserve them also for myself. I need to give them to myself. Sit down as you feed them, you eat as well. Feed yourself.
Yes.
That's confidence because when I speak it, when I tell you that God is a way maker, when I tell you everything is gonna be okay, because I mean, people hit me with they be like, "Should say da da da." I'm like, ah, it'll be all right. It'll be okay. Everything will be okay. That's all I tell them at work. I mean, literally, you can see fires and disasters hitting all around me. I'm like, it'll be okay. He'll be okay. She'll be okay. They like what? I honestly 100% mean that. I believe that. So when I tell it to them, tell it to myself. It'll be okay.
Yes.
Go to sleep because it's going to be
Yes.
okay. Everything is going to be okay. There is nothing you can do about it. And
Yes.
when the time comes, it'll be okay. And you want to know what, Tamika?
What?
Everything is always okay.
And it is. And I
Everything
agree.
is
Oh,
always okay. I asked the question. I said, "Is anybody dead?" No. then it'll be okay.
I know that's
There's no
right.
need to stress about it. It'll be okay. You can fix everything else. Are they dead? No. Everything else
Everything
be
else.
all right.
Yes,
That's
yes.
confidence. That's how I live. That's how I live. And that has made a huge difference in my life. That wasn't always my story. I used to live without that confidence. I used to walk without that confidence. And so I was always afraid, waiting on the next calamity to happen and trying to control things. How am I going to fix it? What am I going to do? Da, 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 da. Because I had no confidence. I had nobody to be confident in other than myself. And I knew the limitations of me.
Yes.
But God has no limitations. That's the beauty about him. Okay, let me be quiet because I'll sit and I'll talk about him like I
No,
have no
no,
idea.
you're good. You're good. I just wanted to say that I agree with what you were saying. Like a lot of times we try to be proactive, So like you were saying, I'm making sure for my next disaster. I'm gonna have this, like I'm gonna build this bridge and I ain't even gotta go across it because the very thing we think gonna happen never happens.
Don't even
and,
happen.
and, and but you done build the bridge. You done took out all this time building the bridge, making this happen, making that happen, and then when time comes, it's like, but it never even happened. Yeah, so
And in the meantime, I missed all the other things that I needed to
to
do.
do, and then you miss the real, to me, you miss the blessing at the moment because you were so busy somewhere else building something else, so you didn't get the opportunity to experience the joy of today. So it's like it that's why it is so important to have that confidence, because like you were saying, when you have that confidence in God and allow him to build that confidence in you, then you already know, like you said, it's okay. Always say, if you can change it, just go over and change it.
Mm-hmm.
If you cannot change it, then that means God has to change it. Now there are some things that we can't do, but there are things that he has to do. So whatever he needs to do, be confident that no matter what, have that no matter what, and that what I know for sure, I am coming through.
This one thing I am persuaded. I'm with Paul.
Yes.
I am persuaded.
Yes.
Persuaded. And it
Yes.
takes trials. It takes turbulence. It takes situations. Paul didn't wake up persuaded.
No.
It took years, and he was continuously going through things, and God was continuously showing himself and building. And even as Paul walked into every room, every synagogue, before every person, every time, that confidence was building more and more because God was constantly showing himself faithful. And then Paul could write back, hey, look back at everybody and say, I'm persuaded, baby, that nothing, absolutely nothing, will separate me, because I know who he is. I am persuaded that he that begun the work is going to finish the work. That didn't just come out of nowhere. Life had to teach me that for me to have confidence in it and to say it. It had to. And that's what our situations, that's what our problems, they come to do. If you can lean into them, if you can embrace them, and if you can allow them. God always tells me, allow patience to have its perfect work. I know it's looking rough, but I ain't gonna step away from my promise to you. I'm like, okay, all right. But that is what builds that persuasion. Kids can say with confidence, my mama gonna be there. My
Yeah.
I ain't gotta worry about it. My daddy got me. And they say it with confidence because their parents have proven it time and time and time again.
Yes. Yes.
And they are persuaded. You can't change their minds. And that's how parents want their kids to depend on them. They want them to live life knowing that God wants the same thing for me, baby.
I know
Shantae,
that's
walk
right.
in this confidence that I got you.
I know that's right. I know that's right. And I love that. I love that. And that's the way I'm going to end this note on being persuaded. I do want to take the time out to thank you,
You're
Shantae,
welcome. Thank you for having me.
for joining me today. I appreciate you so much. And I do want to leave to our listeners that be fully persuaded. Be fully persuaded, that your confidence, hold on to it. Believe, trust, and allow God to build the confidence in you. Have confidence in him, because whatever he say, he's gonna do. Okay.
He is.
And he said to you that all things are possible. So have the confidence that no matter how much turbulence you experience, no matter what your challenge is, have the confidence that you will make it through. So this has been our episode of the confidence effect. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. And
Thank you for
here,
having me.
you are so welcome.